Transformations have long been a key part of action media designed to keep the audience hyped up and engaged. What's cooler than watching your hero, down on his last leg, suddenly receive a burst of power and activate a brand new form with brand new powers and proceed to kick the bad guy straight into next week? Some of the most famous anime moments have been these transformation scenes. I hardly even need to mention Dragon Ball with its incredible transformation scenes for the like of Super Saiyan, Ultra Instinct, and the 1,000 other powered-up forms for each character. But there are tons of other pieces of media that have followed suit with this action trope to great effect. And with fighting games being about as action-packed a genre as you can get, it only makes sense that these types of transformations would work their way into the genre as well. These temporary power-up states are often called installs, and serve as a powerful way to make comebacks as well as build hype for the players and viewers. Today, I'd like to take a look at some of my favorite installs, talk about how different games have tackled them, and overall just take you on a slideshow of some flashy anime nonsense. Of course, we can't talk about the install without talking about the progenitor of the term, Soul Bad Guy. Soul is the main character from Guilty Gear, a series I've talked about ad nauseum on this channel. Soul is a gear, which is a magical beast created by combining a normal animal's DNA with magical DNA. Soul appears as a human most of the time due to his headband having a built-in gear cell limiter which keeps him under control, but when he's on the ropes, Soul takes his headband off, activates his gear cells, and shouts the name of his extra metal transformation, Dragon Install. When used in-game, 50 meter is taken from the player, which grants them powerful buffs to all of Soul's tools, including his movement speed, normals, specials, supers, and even grants him a couple new moves occasionally. Soul, of course, also gets souped up visuals, with his attacks becoming extra flashy, and coolest of all, in Guilty Gear Xrd, after activating Dragon Install, the song that's playing in the match is switched to the Dragon Install theme. I'd just like you to take a second and watch this in real time. Absolutely insane, right? Soul got to name installs after his super for a really good reason, and after everyone saw even the earliest concepts for Dragon Install back when it was just a flashing effect, developers scrambled to outdo it visually and gameplay-wise to bring the hype to their game. Another early adopter of the install was Capcom. After Street Fighter II came Street Fighter Alpha, which featured a popular and unique install exclusive to Rose. Rose's Soul Illusion is a super art which places clones of herself behind her. After every attack, the clones attack one by one after her. This lets every attack become more plus, extend combos, enable mix-ups, and more. Street Fighter Alpha also has Custom Combo, a universal system mechanic that could be classified as an install, letting all characters cancel anything into anything and giving steady forward momentum for a short duration. Street Fighter is absolutely no stranger to installs, and when it came time to introduce a whole new cast of Street Fighter characters with Street Fighter III, you bet they added in a number of interesting timed supers to keep the game fresh. Most infamous has to be Yun's Genajin, an install as iconic as Dragon Install itself. Genajin is certainly iconic for a reason. When activated, Yun shouts out the infamous name of the super, receives a bright blue aura, and activates the powerful effect. Genajin is like a best hits of the previous supers we've talked about. It improves frame data, allows him to cancel anything into anything, and adds additional dash cancel movement options that help make the super nightmarishly powerful. This super art is easily the strongest option Yun has and is seen a lot in competitive play. So much so that an integral strategy of playing the character is building up to the super as fast as you can and taking the round from there. Street Fighter III also has a few more installs. Notable is Makoto's Tanden Renki. This is a ridiculous all-out attacking super where Makoto's attacks gain a 75% damage increase, but she loses her ability to block. This also stacks with her taunts damage increase buff, meaning Makoto can deal a maximum of 284% bonus damage. And if she wasn't TODing you before, she certainly is with this super active. Finally, for Street Fighter III, we have to talk about 12. 12 has X-Copy, a super which transforms him into the opponent's character and grants him a damage and defense boost. What's funny about this is that 12 generally isn't a great character, So X-Copy is actually a pretty good super for him, because it allows him to turn into a slightly better version of any other character. Street Fighter took a break from groundbreaking install supers with Street Fighter 4. There were a couple new ones, but nothing that would knock your socks off. Clearly, the developers noticed this. They knew something needed to change. It's not fair that only Yun gets to farm bar until he activates his install then win the entire game. Everyone should be able to do it. And just like that, Street Fighter V was born. Street Fighter V is built around the V system. This is a mix and matchable arts system similar to selectable super arts in the previous Street Fighter games, but you get to choose both a V skill and V trigger. V skills are extra commands that your character can perform that on success build the V meter, and once the V meter is full, you can activate your V trigger. V trigger is a unique install mechanic that gives every character a timed buff while active. People tended to not be a huge fan of the mechanic given how comeback-centric it was, due to the bar primarily building upon taking damage from the opponent, but it's hard to deny that V-Trigger was responsible for some of the coolest installs we'd seen in a while. There are way too many to discuss, since every character has at least one, and sometimes even two installs for the selectable V-Triggers, so I'd just like to go over my favorites. Guile's VT1 is a classic that lets him shoot mini sonic booms without having to charge them for a short duration, letting him do incredibly technical and impressive boom loop combos. This install was also brought over into Street Fighter 6 as his level 2 super, meaning the boom loops are alive today. Menat's VT1 turns her into a ridiculously powerful puppet-esque character, with 9 orbs all assigned to negative edging a respective button, letting her perform devastating mix-ups and keep her turn for an egregious amount of time. Gil's VT2 turns him into a set-play monster, setting ice traps on the floor below you and performing flippy mix-ups to get you to guard the wrong direction, looping you and knocking you down into the ice again. This VT also makes it so that Gil's ice attacks are powered up and freeze your stun gauge on hit, meaning until you hit Gil, your stun bar can only keep going up and up until you're dizzied. Seth's VT1 grants him follow-ups to every single one of his specials, making his combo game devastating, and his VT2 gives him a massive Oki ball that can be redirected to set up scary wake-up situations, being a character unique in that both of his V-triggers saw high usage in competitive play. And finally, Colleen's V-Trigger 2 gives her a sliding dash with unbelievable speed and range, makes her punching normals have extremely useful extended range, and lets her perform a high-damage quick combo ender that can be used to cash out her hits into huge damage and even a freeze if you spend a little extra. Street Fighter V's V-System may have been a little toxic in the competitive environment with how strongly it encouraged losing the first half of the game to get into V-Trigger as a viable strategy, but it certainly did make for some hype and interesting installs that we're likely to never see the majority of again. While everyone was hamming it up with V-Triggers, Arc System Works announced a brand new fighting game that would catch the attention of fans everywhere. ArcSys was making a Dragon Ball fighting game. This game launched to critical acclaim in 2018, and with Dragon Ball being the series that popularized anime transformation scenes way back with the Super Saiyan transformation, they had a big decision to make when it came to these power-ups. Ultimately, DBFZ decided to make a bulk of its transformations separate playable characters. This came with upsides and downsides. If your character starts and ends transformed no matter what, you lose the hype factor found in the original show when a character is on their last leg and powers themselves up to take the fight home. You can't start a fight as Super Saiyan Goku, then go Ultra Instinct when stuff gets serious. However, this meant that every single transformation could have a wholly unique moveset, playstyle, and visual style. The developers could take much more time and care making sure these transformations were given the same love and attention they got from Akira Toriyama and the millions of Dragon Ball fans during their debut. Ultra Instinct Goku plays entirely differently from base Goku, who plays entirely differently from Vegito, who plays entirely differently from Vegeta, so on and so forth. All that being said, there are still a few installs featured in this game to keep things excited. First, I'd like to talk about Frieza. Frieza gets access to his Golden Frieza form as his level 3 super. This super transforms Frieza into a beast of a character, powering up almost every one of his core attributes. He gets damage, defense, and speed buffs. He gets a second air dash. He gets invulnerability on activation. And coolest of all, he gets reverse beat. Reverse beat is a mechanic that allows characters in a fighting game to cancel their normals into a normal lower strength than the one they're using. If you're familiar with the Gatling system, think of that, but go backwards. Put this on top of the already existing Gatling system, and Golden Frieza plays his block strings in creative mode. This isn't the only install DBFZ has to offer. Super Broly has a unique install that happens after he lands his gigantic sword super. After Broly lets out his nightmarish scream and rips off all his armor, all damage he deals for the rest of the match is increased by 15%. This is a very powerful effect in a game where you can swap characters in and out to keep the powered up state for a more tricky opponent, and lets Broly use his meter on a damaging super and get a little bit extra for his trouble as well. Labcoat 21 also does something similar with her Photon Pulse super. This is a command grab that on connect reduces the opposing character's damage by 21% for the rest of the match, and buffs Labcoat 21's special and assist damage by 21% for the rest of the match as well. This is super notable, as it means landing the grab completely nullifies the damage boost from Golden Frieza, Super Broly, and Sparking, as well as making her poking specials and assists that much more threatening. This super had a lot of controversy around it when Labcoat was released. Labcoat was clearly one of the most powerful characters at this time, and she was seen on almost every competitive team. People would use this super a lot, and because of it, sets would run longer than expected. DBFZ is already a slow game to run in tournament, with each game taking significantly longer than in a standard 2D fighter. Add a 21% damage reduction on top of that, and you have a recipe for some seriously dragged out sets that made tournaments a slog to sit through in the eyes of some players and spectators. Because of this and her general overpowered nature, parts of the community called for Labcoat's ban. Finally, and most interestingly in my humble opinion, we have Adult Gohan with his Potential Unleashed mechanic. Adult Gohan has a super that upon use charges up his power level, granting him new buffs for each level granted, up to a maximum of 7 levels total. At level 1, he gains upgrades to some of his specials and gets a new special as well. At level 3, he gets a second air dash. At level 5, he gets reverse beat. And at level 7, Gohan gets the ability to special cancel from specials into other specials, making him a godlike threat at his highest levels of power. Uninstall activated by a grab is a feature which defines one of Grand Blue Fantasy Versus' most unique characters, Vera. Vera has a unique skill which is a running command grab that on connect transforms her into a powerful install. What's unique about this is that the command grab startup looks identical to her basic run until she catches you, meaning every time Vera starts dashing at you, you need to quickly guess whether you need to block an incoming attack or jump a throw, which can make her extremely scary to fight under the right circumstances. Once Vera activates her buff, she becomes one of, if not the most powerful character in the game. Vera's special moves all get powered up, letting her get much more powerful combos and neutral options. A highlight is her installed Red Barrel Sword, which transforms into an axe swing that's -6 on block and pushes the opponent far away. The issue? This is a DP. Vera practically wakes up for free unless you can make the DP whiff due to this incredibly potent reversal option, and it's not even all she's got. Vera also gains access to Grace View, which is one of the strongest air movement options the game has to offer. Vera hops on a ferry and jumps across the screen, choosing when and where to dive off with a plunging attack that makes her incredibly unpredictable as she maneuvers around. Another exceptional trait of this install is that just like Photon Pulse, once Vera is installed, she's installed for the rest of the round. You have to beat powered up Vera to make it to the next round, or simply lose quick and try to stop her next time. Grand Blue is also a big fan of using metered installs. Fairy's Hinrichten allows her to Gatling her normals in any direction up to 3 times, letting her perform ridiculous zoning sequences or powerful high damage mix-ups. The new character Grimnir also has an install that lets him perform his crest dashes without a crest placed, making his offense and movement as unpredictable as ever. Siegfried can cut his life in half to get extra damage on his special moves and a health sap property on each of them, but personally I feel like this is hard to justify compared to Sieg's other meter use options. Finally, there are 2 more installs from this game I'd like to talk about, and I think they're both the funniest and most unique the game has to offer. Luane has the power to call upon the goddess Yggdrasil to make the opponent play what is basically a Mario Party minigame. Yiggy has a few unique attacks, each with counters that the opponent has to fire off quick and consistent in order to survive the super, including an unblockable, a powerful chip damage tool, a homing projectile, and quick earth pillars to check bad spot dodges. And last, but certainly not least, we have Sora's Underpants install. When Sora is knocked into SSBA range, he can spend his meter on the Undies install, where he rips off all his clothes and powers himself up immensely. This grants Sora's a defense boost, buffs to his specials, a faster dash, and powerful follow-ups to his already existing special moves that make his offense even more potent, as now he has Rekka follow-ups to threaten the opponent on block off of his standard frame-trapping tools. Interestingly, Sora's does not lose the meter when he activates Undies mode, he just needs to have it to use it, meaning he can activate the super and immediately fire off a powerful install-boosted SSBA if the situation demands it. Installs are a fighting game staple that clearly show no sign of going anywhere. Tekken 8 is an example that isn't even released yet that features an install mechanic as its core mechanic, similar to Street Fighter V's V system. Tekken 8's Heat system is a power-up that can be activated from landing certain Heat Engager attacks or manually that gives a boost in momentum as well as access to new and powerful attacks for a timed duration. There's way too many installs out there for me to talk about all of them in this video, so if you have a favorite I didn't mention, tell me about it in the comments below. For now though, that's all. This has been Adventure, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.